with Logger Pro. I'm going to go over here to my dock or wherever you have your programs, click on it, and it'll open right away. Notice you've got a graphing window and a data window over here. And there's lots of buttons for how to control things. If you hover over them, they'll tell you what they do. A lot of the same things are functional within menus as well. So we'll deal with those as we go. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the data table window where it says X, double click on that, and we're going to name our X-axis, and that's going to be drop height, DH, and the units are going to be centimeters. I can go over here and click done, or I can simply hit return. I'm going to go here at Y, click on that, I'm going to click or type in bounce height, BH, that's in centimeters, and I'm also going to click done. Now I can enter my data. So we're at step 2 on the Graphing with Logger Pro program. At this point, we're going to enter 100 centimeters for drop height. I hit the tab button and I move over to bounce height, 87.6. And I don't need to put units in here because that's in the top of my graph. I can click return and I'll go to the next row, 80 centimeters, tab over, 70.8 centimeters. Then 60 centimeters, 52.4, and so forth. And they don't need to be in order. Logger Pro will automatically graph them in order. If you notice, every time I'm entering a data set, I'm getting a little point over here. So continuing in, 40 centimeters, 36, 20 centimeters, 18.5, 0 centimeters, 0. If you enter something in wrong, you can write over it, by the way, so that's not a problem. So now we've got our data in. Most likely, the newer versions of Logger Pro will not have lines connecting your data. If they do, here's how you get rid of them. Double-click anywhere in this window. It'll open up something with 2 different menus, Graph Options and Axes Options. In terms of the graph options, now is a good point to title your graph. So I'll say bounce height versus drop height. Okay, and that's going to be good. I also can either have connecting points, which I don't want. I can have point symbols, X error bars, Y error bars, uncertainty boxes, and things like that. That should all be okay right now. So I'm going to click OK. And notice my title pops up. To modify the scaling on your graph, and Logger Pro will auto-scale your graph, sometimes the way we want and sometimes the way we don't want. Normally, we're going to auto-scale from 0 for a long time. The way you can do that is go under Analyze, Auto-Scale from 0. But another way you could do that is double-click back on this graph. Before we were on Graph Options, now go to Axes Options. It'll allow you to auto-scale the y-axis from 0 and auto-scale the x-axis from 0. So that's how you can do that. This is only if you have a third axis on the right-hand side. Okay, one of the other things that we can do is if you notice Logger Pro has this last point over here, which is right on the edge. It's kind of annoying. If you go down here on the axes and hover, you'll see a line with an squiggly arrow coming out. If you push down on your trackpad and then scroll to the left, it'll adjust the scaling. So now that point is actually a little more visible. You could do that on this axis if you want as well. I'm sure you can find a way to do it with the mouse. That's just kind of nice to see. It's not that critical. So that's modifying the scaling of the graph. So that's step 4 of your Logger Pro handout. I'm turning the page to align the best fit. If you're on the graph window anywhere, which is where I am now, you can use the mouse to highlight all the data like this, or just highlight a region that you want. Notice I didn't get the 0 in there, unfortunately. If you want to look at all your data, just click anywhere on this. Make sure you're in the graph window. Click once, like that. I don't think that showed up very well. You can go up to this button, which will allow you to determine a linear fit. And notice it gives you a line. That's a pretty darn good fit. If If you have a correlation of about 0.98, 0.99 or higher, that's a darn good relationship. Notice the slope is in here with units, 8.73 centimeters per centimeter. It has a y-intercept. Logger Pro gives you lots and lots of digits, even when your data may not be that precise. So be smarter than Logger Pro. Here it sort of puts it in the format we talked about earlier. It says bounce height equals m, but instead of drop height, it just has an x here. If you want to see this box bigger, you can go to Appearance and click Bigger. 20-point font. Okay, and that made it bigger. And if you click down on this box, you can move it wherever you'd like. Okay, if you've got a linear fit, that's perfectly good, and we're good to go. If the straight line's not a good fit, you need to go to step 6 and maybe step 7. If you want to save your file, go up here, Logger Pro, File, Save As, and I'll say Sample File 1. And it's a CMBL file. If you have the program on your computer, you can basically save it there and open it there as well. I'm going to save it on the desktop. I'm going to call it For Logger Pro Tutorial, and that'll be good. The next part of the tutorial is going to involve doing a nonlinear fit. I won't go through all the steps again. I'll just be entering data.